Hello, welcome to English Lessons with Teacher Lemus. Today we're going to see the verb be. In this video, we're going to use the verb be in simple present in affirmative, negative, and interrogative forms. So before we start talking about the verb be and simple present, we're going to talk about what is a sentence. A sentence contains at least a noun and a verb to give a complete idea. Yes, here we have an example. I am Alberto. That's a sentence. Easy peasy. Yes, contains at least a noun and a verb. And that's the minimum to have a complete idea. If you just say Alberto, that's not a sentence. If you just say I, or if you just say am, that's not a sentence. If you say I am, that is a sentence. Okay? So, taking a look at these parts, we have these components. We have a noun and a verb. A noun and a verb are parts of speech. A noun is a word used to describe a person, animal, object, place, or concept. And I have a video about nouns and subject pronouns. There is a link in the description. You can take a look at it if you want another explanation about nouns. Also, a verb is a word used to describe an action. In this case, the action is to be. A sentence is always separated in two components, a subject and a predicate. This might sound familiar to you. A subject is a person, animal, object, place, or concept that does an action in a sentence. That's important. A subject is in function of the sentence and is the protagonist. Yes, you see what I mean? And finally, the predicate is a part of a sentence that contains a verb and says something about the subject. So the predicate contains additional information about something that the subject does. Okay. So we're going to focus on the verb be. The verb be is conjugated in three forms. The forms are conjugated depending on what is the subject in the sentence. If the sentence contains a first person singular, or in other words, if it's I, then you're going to use am. For example, I am. If the subject is third person singular, or in other words, it's only one and it's not you, we use is. For example, he is, she is, and it is. But it's not only pronouns. If it's only one and it's not you, for example, when you say John or Andrea or the school, John is, Andrea is, the school is. Okay? If it's only one and it's not you, remember, that's the cue. Okay? Now, if it's second person and plurals, then we use are. For example, you, we, or they. But not only pronouns. For example, when you say John, Andrea, and I, as in we can say are. Or when you say John and Andrea, only them, are. Okay? So let's take a look at how the conjugations look like. Here we have them. I am. Repeat after me. I am. You are. He is. She is. It is. We are. You are. And they are. Okay? But normally in real life situations we use contractions. What are contractions? Contractions are like a short version, like a compact version of the same words to say them faster. And we use them in informal situations with your friends, with your family, when you're not being formal, right? So in that case we say I'm, but we only say it as one word, not as two. We don't say I am, no, we say I'm, okay? I'm. Next one, your, his, she's, it's, we're, your, and their. Okay? Very good. The verb be has many functions. For example, we can use it to introduce a person, like when you say I am Alberto. You are Luis, right? To say your age, she is 25 years old. Yeah? Notice that if you just say she has 25 years old, it's incorrect. In English, we say she is 25 years old. I am 25 years old, etc. Okay? Not I have. Also, if you just say she is 25 years, that's also incorrect. You need to say the word old. If you just say she is 25, that is correct. Okay? But you can say she is 25 or she's 25 years old. Okay? You can also use it as a link verb. For example, my father is a doctor. Yeah? Notice how we use is to link here the subject with this object. We can also use it with an adjective. The school is big. Big is the adjective. Okay? And finally, with a prepositional phrase. The books are on the table. This is the prepositional phrase because on is a preposition. Okay? Those are some examples of how we use the verb be. The verb be is structured in three forms: affirmative, negative, and interrogative. Yeah? In the affirmative form, we have a subject, we have the verb be, and then we have a complement. Yeah? For example, I'm Mike. Notice that even when we have a contraction, we still have the verb be. It's contracted, but it's there. Okay? So the subject is I, the verb be is am, and finally the complement is Mike. This again, the subject I, verb be is am, and then the complement 40 years old. In this next one, Jane's Mexican. Subject, verb be, complement. She's beautiful. Subject, verb be, and complement. Then we have a plural. John and Nancy are teachers. They're at the school. John and Nancy is the subject. The verb be is are, and the complement is teachers. They is the subject, are is the verb be, and finally at the school is the complement. And then one more sentence. The car is yellow. It's in the garage. Yeah, the car is the subject, is the verb be, and yellow is the complement. It is the subject, is the verb be, and in the garage is the complement. When we have a negative form, you see it's very similar in structure, but the only difference is that we add the particle not. Yeah? Let's take a look at some examples. I'm not Lucas. I'm not 14 years old. Yeah? We have again the subject, verb be, particle not, and then the complement. Subject, verb be, particle not, and the complement. Easy peasy, right? Okay, another example. Vanessa isn't American. She's not ugly. Okay, now here you can see the contraction, but notice we have two contractions. They mean the same. In practical terms, they mean the same. Isn't and is not is the same. Okay, so the pronunciation is isn't, and here it's not. So let's take a look at the structure. Vanessa is the subject, and then we have be and not, isn't, and then the complement American. And then in the case of she's is the subject and the verb be, not, and the complement. Another example. John and Nancy aren't doctors. They're not at the hospital. Again, the same thing. Aren't and are not also mean the same thing and are two different contractions. So taking a look at the form, the subject is John and Nancy, and then aren't is the verb be and not, and finally doctors is the complement. Here the subject is they, are not is be and not, and at the hospital is the complement. And finally, the car isn't green. It's not outside. Again, isn't and is not is the same one as here. So subject, verb be and not, and complement. Subject, verb be and not, and complement. Easy peasy, right? Now, in questions. In question forms, we have two types of questions. We have yes or no questions, and we have information questions, and we're going to see the difference. A yes or no question is a question where the answer is always yes or no. Those are easy to form. In that case is the verb be, the subject, and the complement. And notice this, the difference here in affirmative and question is that the subject and the verb be are inverted in position. Inverted. So we have not subject and be, is be and subject. Are you Steve? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I'm Mike. You see? Okay? The verb be, the subject, and the complement. And here, when you say are is conjugated depending on the subject on the right. Okay? This is important. Are you, because are is used for you. Okay? In the short answers, when you say I am, we don't use contraction I'm. Okay? Very important. In affirmative form, we don't use contraction. Another question. This one is an information question. Why information question? Because the answer is not yes or no. For example, if I ask you, how old are you? You don't say yes. No, that's not the answer. Yes, it's incorrect. That means that you didn't understand. When I ask you, how old are you? You need to give information. So notice here, the structure is this. We have a WH word, like it can be what, when, where, how old, etc. And then the rest is the regular question form order. So, how old is the WH word? Verb be, subject, and in this case there is no complement. How old are you? And the answer, I'm 40 years old. Another example, are John and Nancy teachers? What kind of question is this? It's a yes or no question. Yes? So, are John and Nancy teachers? Yes, they are. No, they're not. Notice in affirmative, no contraction. Yeah? Where is the car? Another information question. Where, WH, is the verb be, the car is the subject. Where is the car? It's in the garage. You see? Easy peasy. So, how is everything so far? Is it clear? Let's take a look at some more examples. I'm Steve and he's Dustin. We're best friends. Yeah? You see the reference? Wink, wink. What's her name? Her name's Maxine. How old is she? She's 15 years old. Is she your classmate? No, she's not. She's Lucas's classmate. Okay? Now here notice that this Lucas's, this is not the verb to be. This is a possessive. We're going to see that in the future later. So this is the verb to be. She is. Okay? Well, I hope you liked today's video. Thank you for joining today's class. Please like and subscribe for more contents. Follow me on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Teacher Lemus. I also offer private classes and there is more information on my social media. Thank you and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.